session. And then that is where you have your turn. If at all there are certain things that are not fully covered, we can also discuss them. But once again, I thank you for honoring this invitation. We have invited you here today to provide a clear, factual, and transparent update on the ongoing cement shortages and the recent price increase that have caused concern across the country. Jar Oil Company believes strongly in open communication, especially on matters that affect national development, livelihoods, and public confidence. Our commitment has never changed. Let us begin by confirming two truths that every Gambian knows. One, Jar Oil Company has consistently imported an adequate quantities of cement to meet national demand. This is a known fact, because ever since this measure is implemented, it has been years now, and we have not faced anything like this. Yes, from time to time you do have some little intermittent shortages, but nothing compared to this. Number two, we have always maintained an affordable factory price of $390 per bag, even when our own import costs increased. This is also the second fact, undeniable, and everybody can verify. We have not changed this price, we have not shifted blame, and we have not withheld supply from the Gambian people. Never. The real cause of the shortage, port and channel limitations. We'll talk about that. The current shortage is not due to lack of supply from Jar Oil Company. The problem lies in our inability to berth and discharge vessels on time due to physical limitation at the port and its access channel. This is also a verifiable fact. And I think as journalists, from here you should start making your own personal investigation as to what we are saying, whether that's how it is out there. And when you get out of here, you can have open access to the Gambia Ports Authority, and I will give you certain hints that you can also verify online. When you Google certain names, you will see where it will lead you. The problem with the channel is that it is too shallow, brothers and sisters. The channel is too shallow. This channel, the last time we checked, was before independence. That is before 1965. That is when this channel was created. And now today we are in what? In 2025. By then, vessels of 9.5 meter draft are more than adequate for the Gambia. They can bring adequate supplies because the population was just below 1 million. Years back, the population keep increasing. Infrastructure also is marching along. Until now, we are talking about almost 3 million population. So you will agree with me that the channel doesn't hold anymore. The problem lies in our inability to berth and discharge vessels on time due to physical limitation at the port and access channel, as I said. One, the approach channel to the port of Banjul is restricted to 9.5 meters draft. What that means is, when you load a vessel, there is what they call the draft or the depth limitation. When you know how boats load, even if you look at our fishing vessels or these little canoes that travel Banjul Bara, when they load, the vessel seems to sink downwards. That's the draft. Now these vessels, the port of Banjul, the only limitation it has is only 9.5 meters. That might sound deep, layman's term, but it's nothing in the shipping industry. That's a very shallow draft. The vessels we are bringing now into the Gambia, these modern vessels, they need a limitation of about 11, 12, 13, up to 15 meters depth. Now imagine you load a vessel of 60,000 metric tons it needs a draft of about 13 meters for it to be able to cross that channel. That's the access channel to the port of Banjul. And then the channel is naturally telling that vessel, I only have 9.5 meters. More than these 9.5 meters, you cannot cross the channel. Now, what do? We are painfully engaged in lightering that vessel. What that means is we have a vessel, another smaller vessel, we call it the daughter vessel, that will sail to the mother vessel at the high seas of the Gambia and then load from the mother vessel and sail back to discharge. It has to do a number of trips. It depends on the quantity. Sometimes it will do 3, 4, and sometimes even 5 trips before that vessel is lightened enough so that it can sail safely to back with maybe 30,000 or 35,000 metric tons from 60,000 metric tons. So this is the real challenge that the country is facing. And we all have to appreciate the fact that JAWEL as a company, we all know, we have limitations in what we can do and what we cannot do. All we can promise to the people is to bring enough, adequate, and consistent supply to the country. Now, for that channel to be taken care of, to be able to handle these cargoes, that is not for JAWEL to do. That is where the GPA comes in. That is the Gambia Ports Authority. They have to maintain a saleable draft into Banjul. And this matter has been on for years. We've wrote series of letters, several, re-echoing the need to draft the GPA, to dredge the Gambia Ports Authority so that it can facilitate the sale of vessels like our cement vessels and many other vessels that have restrictions. And it has been going on like this for years without answers until recently. Thank God, there is a credible tender document that is out there looking for people who can dredge that channel. And hopefully that tender is closing, I think, this month, around the middle. And then we are hoping that before the end of the month, mobilizations will be done so that at least it will be dredged before end of December or around January. We don't know, but we have seen plans and actions taken by GPA to make sure that that channel is dredged. But now before then, the Gambia needs cement. Vessels have to sail in. Life has to go on. And it's because of that, we also invested in buying the daughter vessels we call MV Christian. That's JAWEL's own. It cost us about $1 million to purchase it with a 4,000-ton capacity. We've bought another one just to make sure that, we do what we need to do as an investor. We bought a second vessel, which is expected to be delivered around or within the end of this month, December. Maybe by the time it arrives into the Gambia, it will be around early January, mid-January. We don't know if everything flows naturally. That also cost us millions of dollars with about a capacity of about 14,000 to 15,000 metric tons. Why did we do that? It's because we are committed. We don't just want to sit and fold our hands and say, well, it's not our problem. It's a dredging issue. Our vessels are at the sea. So if they cannot come, it's not our problem as an investor. But no, we went further and invested again in seagoing vessels, making it 2. So that with those 2 vessels alone, even if the ports didn't dredge, these operations will be faster, more efficient, and better. Because we can sail with those vessels, they will do only 1 lightering, and the mother vessels can sail in without having any significant delay. But before then, people need to know that these limitations are not JAWEL's fault. And that's a fact, and a verifiable fact. Then I want all of you to go out there and verify. I'll give you 2 names. On the 22nd of November, a vessel by the name of Brita Oldendorf arrived in the Gambia and is still sitting at sea with about 59,500 tons of cement. Almost 60,000 tons of cement. Within 5 days, Another vessel also arrived with 55,000 metric ton. That one is called GM Fortune. When you Google it and you look at the vessel's movement, it will show you the exact position where it is stationed today in the Gambia. They've been sitting at sea. We've been trying everything to lighten them with the vessel we have. But there are certain things that are beyond man himself. For example, act of God. We all know as Gambians who is born and bred in this country, at this time of the year we call the Hamatan season. It's usually very windy, especially at sea. Very, very windy. With heavy windfall, with high swells of the sea, that means the waves, there are certain limits. When it passes those limits, the vessels cannot do what we call STS, that is ship-to-ship transfer. That is taken from a mother vessel to a daughter vessel. Because of the sea is not steady and the wind is too high, it becomes very risky. You have to suspend operations and wait until it is calm again, you resume again. And all these on and offs at sea also adds to the delay, when the daughter vessels will be able to return and discharge. And this is exactly what we are experiencing now. And because we are new into STS, we are less than a year into STS operations, that is ship-to-ship transfers. We never factored that. It has never occurred to any one of us that at this time of the year, these are the actual natural conditions at sea, and STS will be almost impossible. Seamlessly, you have to have intermittent and frequent stops to allow the weather to calm. And this is exactly what we have been experiencing. And people now start saying, Jar Oil promised to supply, but they couldn't meet the demand. I think all of us had this. They couldn't meet the demand when we have 115,000 metric tons of cement sitting at sea. Over $8 million of Gambian dollars, American dollars, spent on them. Not to talk of the added expenses that are associated to it, which will not shy of anything less than $10 million. Where did we go wrong? One, we have promised that we'll bring adequate and frequent. We have done that. 115,000 metric tons is almost about 3 million bags of cement. 3 million bags of cement. You cannot consume that in this country for 2 months. In 2 months. It's not possible. We know the market. We know the statistics. We know the data. If people don't know it outside there, we know it. We know the data. We know the Gambian data. This consumption level. Despite all these brouhaha, we know it. With 30,000 metric tons alone, you pump that into this market. The market is inundated. This we know. Because we are into this business for years. We know what you can pump into the market and saturate it. With 30,000 metric tons, you convert that into bags, is enough for this country. For at least a period of 15, 20, 25 days. Up to about a month. Then the other balance is there as a buffer. Just to make sure that it keeps flowing. Until when the next vessel docks. Now we are talking about 115,000 metric tons at sea, which you can verify. Google it. Those names, Brita Oldendorf, you Google it today and ask for the ship location. It will show you where it is standing at the Gambian waters. It might even tell you what it is carrying. Then you have another GM Fortune. It will tell you where it is standing today in the Gambian waters. It might even tell you how much it is carrying. And that will go to tell you that what we are telling you here are verifiable facts. So you have 115,000 metric tons sitting. By the 22nd of this month again, we are expecting another 55,000. So it means all these 3 vessels will meet each other here. You add that to the existing 115,000. When are we going to consume that? Over 4 to 5 million bags of cement. So where have we failed? nature will catch up with any one of us. We cannot decide when the rain falls, so we cannot decide when God will have to release its wind. And this is exactly what is happening. So, going forward, people also talk about the price hikes. These price hikes, I've talked about it several times, but I think as journalists, you owe it to the nation, you owe it to the citizen to go out there on a crusade to try to investigate and find the culprits. Because these are all man-made. They are not factual. They are not reflecting the realities in the market. Tell me what is the logic behind. You buy a bag of cement here for $390. Naturally, to go to Coastal Road here, you should be able to pay $10 each bag to take you there. We are transporters too. We know what is the actual cost of a bag of cement to transport between the combos. $10 is the real cost of it. Now you have unscrupulous drivers sitting here, they're hearing me, and they are charging $30 to $35 per bag to go to Coastal Road here. Even far out next door by the main road, they charge $25. One bag of cement. Now where's the logic? That same driver will transport a bag of cement here to Soma, Yarosoma, 200 kilometers away for $30 per bag. Now tell me, where's the logic? Where's the economic logic in that application? As a company, do we have power to do anything about that? Simply no. We are not government. We are not regulators. We can't do it. Even though it hurts us. Just a few days ago, a few drivers came to my office and I was talking to them about this, and I was telling them that, look, what you guys are doing is wrong. You are holding the people. What you are doing is wrong. You understand? And it has to stop. You cannot be charging people to far out of $25 per bag. When you have a trip to Soma, you charge $30 per bag. And you think you are holding us, trying to sabotage us in a way to raise this price of cement so that the population will heap the blame on us if they don't look through the actual fact and you think you are doing good. That's not true. You understand? That's not okay. What you should do is, why should you be charging $25 to Farato next door? And then you charge to Jarasoma $30. That is one thing you journalists should embark on a crusade to save this country. Save it in the way that you let out the truth out there so that the population, the unsuspecting people who don't know the real cost of what is happening, will know the facts behind the scene. Now, putting that aside, let's go to the retailers. All of you here who know the history of this cement brouhaha must have known that there was a big battle that was fought over this. The cement industry is divided between two. Those who import across the border a 32.5 hour cement, different from what we sell. What we bring in this country is 42.5 hour, and everybody should know what's the difference. With that high quality of 42.5 is what every project in this country, your specs are. You cannot use the other one. Obvious reasons, because the qualities are different. Of course, the prices also must be different. Now you go to these retailers who are bringing the 32.5 hour. When government came with an economic measure to say that as a nation, we also want our country to develop. We want our country to industrialize. We want to have more investors to come into this country with confidence that I can invest here without fearing that my investment will not be protected. On that note, We have 3 cement factories here producing cement, and I'll put it here. You understand? Before we let these companies to die, simply because some cheap cement is flowing into the country, you understand, without even paying the correct taxes at the border. At the end of the day, when we let this thing happen, these factories will die, and there are citizens, Gambian citizens working in them in their hundreds and thousands. What do you do to save it? They came with a measure, which every responsible government does. I recently went to Lagos. It was an ECOWAS Trade and Investment Summit. I was surprised. On the whole, these measures are not only akin to Gambia. It is every country within West Africa is applying it. It was made plain there because every speaker in that conference, I was supposed to be one of them. I participated in the panel discussions. And it seems like every member country complains about the same thing. Protecting their own national industries. And because of that, these hubs of free movement of goods is non-existent. It's non-existent. Not in any member state, including Nigeria, as the headquarters of ECOWAS. They are having the same issues. You understand? So if the government comes with this measure, it's for the good of the country. And that has no way distorted the prices. But now, because of that battle of they should let us continue doing what we are doing to the detriment of your national industries, and they are angry, they came with a scheme. And what is the scheme? They come into these factories, they buy the cement for $390, and they go down into their retail shops, those very people who are bringing these things across the border, and sell it for how much? $525 per bag. I even had some of them are selling it at $600 recently. What's the justification? You bought something for $390 and you went out there and sell it for $600 and even plus. How can you blame that on Jawel again? That price hike didn't benefit us because that is not coming into our pocket. The only margin coming into our pocket is the $390 margin. Whatever margin we have within that $390 range, that's what goes into our coffers. The $600 is going to some very unscrupulous traders. If people are not seeing this, you owe it to the people, as I call you in the beginning, as the eyes and ears of the country, to do your own findings and embark on a crusade to save the consumers. Yah Oil cannot be blamed for that. The very people we fought with thinks what we can do since we have lost the battle, let's make cement unaffordable to the population so that government will recapitulate. They would have only succeeded in that crusade if at all Yah Oil has raised its price to $600 or $500 or even $450. Then you can say, factually, yes, cement has become unaffordable. They let them bring in cement, but they are selling it at $500. But we are selling it at $390. They are the ones selling it at $600 or $500 plus. And you call that fair to the population? I think this is the most unpatriotic thing a Gambian should do to his fellow Gambian. And you stand in those so-called little social media platforms, those same people in their books, in their pages, and want to wear that shirt or that hat of patriotism who loves the country. But look at yourself. You are the one selling something to the population that they cannot afford. And now you shift that blame to Yah Oil. This is all because of Yah Oil. When our prices have not changed. Going forward, away from that, when it comes to the supply and availability, I already told you, our assurances to the public has never changed. We've never failed in our commitment. We've brought enough and adequate. It's at sea. We are lightering it. They come in 4,000 ton, 4,000 ton. The small vessel, that's what it can bring. We'll continue doing this until the mother vessels lands or bath. The moment that mother vessel baths, I will want once more for you to come just one day without any briefing or talk. Just stand there and observe the amount of cement that is pumped out there. Within 2, 3, 4, 5 days, the market is inundated. Especially now that we have another plant in Farafenni that is operating. Now the folks in Farafenni and rural Gambia don't need to come to Banjul anymore. That plant is now operational. People are taking supplies from there for the rural folks. Now with that plant with Buffalo, the plant is already too much for the Gambian market. Not to talk of when we add our new 200 bags plant that is over there, the new one, which we have not commissioned yet, which hopefully maybe within the month we might be lucky to commission that one. That means Jar Oil as a company, one company, has upgraded its capacity, its daily production, from 100,000 bags a day to 400,000 bags a day. This is about 5 times more than the Gambian consumption. We did this not only for the Gambian market, we are also trying to target regional markets. And whatever it takes, we'll do it. That shows so lahe bedi jai in Olof kon am nga lu doy loy naan. And that is our strategy for this 2025. That's why we embark on this massive investment. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, once again, like I said in the beginning, we didn't falter, we didn't waver, and we didn't fail. There are certain things they are beyond us. The port's authority is not under our management. When they have a shallow draft, and it's their responsibility to dip in that draft so that every kind of vessel will sail into this country seamlessly. And that has not been achieved yet. I don't see how any honest person can heap that blame on us, unless if that person has some ulterior motives or agenda, which we understand. We are not seated here for everybody to support us or not to blame us. Blames will always come, but let them be based on facts. Even if it is debatable, base it on facts. At least don't do it for me, but do it between you and your Lord who created you. Because one day we are all answerable to Him. Remember that. Life is good for everyone. Everybody is doing whatever they want in the name of profession, in the name of democracy, in the name of freedom of speech. Yes, sweet. Let's enjoy it. But you'll be accountable with every single word that you utter in this dunya. Lies or truth. And I think this is what many people forget. They think maybe they will never die. You will only come to realize that when you reach a certain age, that is when you start to reflect back. You wish to rewind those things and rectify them. Cannot be done. You can only repent. The repentance depends on Allah now to accept it or reject it. May Allah accept all of our repentance. Please do justice to the people. Go and investigate what is bringing this market distortion. Go also from here, go to the ports and see. Google those 2 names of vessels and see whether actually what Mr. Hydra is saying, whether those vessels are in the seas of Gambia. And it will show you its exact position and coordinates where it is standing at sea. Apart from that also, go back and do your in-depth investigation. Every journalist should be a good investigator. Go in depth. Look at why this cement price is high. You'll be shocked to discover what causes it. It is a crusade against the consumers. Because they think in their own little minds, when we distort the price and make it unaffordable to the people, government will recapitulate. Governments don't operate that way. They don't operate that way. Once that distortion is not coming from jar oil, our price remains stable. Yesterday, day before yesterday, and today, with the same number on our invoices, you cannot blame us for that. Blame those retailers, those unscrupulous retailers who have connived among themselves that will make cement unaffordable. So that Gambians will shout. Of course Gambians are shouting. They've succeeded in that. But is it fair? Very unfair. Do they deserve to be called patriotic Gambians? Obviously no. And I can bet, you see, any business who is bent on making people cry, with your dishonesty and cheating habits, for your ulterior motives, watch it. They will melt right before our eyes here. I only hope they realize this and know this and backtrack on their crusade and return to Allah and do justice to the people. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I have for now. I just want to conclude by saying we remain committed to stabilizing cement market. That's our commitment. And we remain committed to that. We will continue importing adequate quantities. As we have demonstrated, I've told you 2 vessels at sea, which is about 2 to 3 months of Gambia's consumption. You can verify this. We will maintain the factory price at $390. If they want, let them sell it at $700. I left that to the people to solve that problem themselves by taking the bull head on. They cannot dictate what comes out of our pocket unnecessarily, because this is sheer wickedness. We will work closely with government to ensure dredging and port improvements are completed urgently, and I think that is already in motion. With that, I want to conclude by thanking all of you for coming to answer us, and I'll be open to questions. Nga journalist will be invite Jambi. Purine dam ku molma. Kadun diamo siata bankoka. Andu min diamo be ko ka jawo le chodi ko. Atele lahiro di ko. Abe cemento nati no la jande men sita. Anda ba wafila price le me alonko wole nyanta na marché to. Ne dunya la price woni jube. Andun ka nyimbe ke fo ntelde ning alatema be loring wala suta anintini bari ko dol bije jaawol fra man sembo su do bari janim be fra lo ko lol to musada dal ko bi la bi ko wallahi do men di ko simendo nat no la janen si gambe supply nole gambe la supply o mantel amon ko lentel ma mba taman siro itan dal la birin mezo wala ñing cemento masakunda ñing conditiono men nati ka foko ibe gambe man gambe factory le empower wala ñing dika ski sembentu ya pour que financier no so that factory ko tan anim mo ko tan men lafta ka na il naflo dundi gambe ñang il financier hani pour que na il naflo dundi je anita silala wala masakunda bulawla ambiye masakunda je dunya kuno wala muy la sarta foloti ni koy develop ka commencé hani ka to jang ko democracy and human rights mol ka america le jodi bari nga commencé wol fon até mu jolali solleti alka moy le wato wat Donald Trump ni dunia bankol bebe nyola safar kelon abe namo taga bala kam bankol kan ka foy ko meñin namo nangam le lale kan ni la fo pembe bolé ya pour kana jam do sita 100% tarif 50% tarif mulos no fay na diara la dron kada la banko la factory mi alon ko wolle ko marchandise sifal dada america kono ibe fakar ne kadu marchandise ko bu banku dolle to bi nakanje ko marchandise man tamalo sabe keno la nyaadle gambe mezo menki exactly what is what Donald Trump fana be wala keka wala ni dika tarif wala marchandise ka melbe dunna america banko ka isaje ino banko si sino ye negotiation ke kunke ka fuko alga choko loku nan ko ngani namo bondi fu nga choko loku so that o factory for membe America is baluno no de bi fakan ni bodo wala nani ECOWAS jam ila kaydo me alon ko ndam won li nga signé ECOWAS members ye men foje wala ñinti ko free movement of goods and people marchandise so tama ECOWAS bankol kono tanin nala mote bloqué la anin hadama dingol fana na tanin na amam me bagem tata Nigeria ECOWAS investment and forum modole sotto je interta panel sol kono je jelam na da fuko yara mol ka men fuko kanyum tol la marchandise so be dun na bankol kono yara fan Gambia mo demandi net ñi banko bal fan ka stade Nigeria fon la anin ECOWAS bankol mume be ibebe the same thing le kekan e ko ku kilo le ita sonna marchandise sipa dole bo banko dole bi ne la banko kan ye tonne kato mune no ni ñi ngaw mitino kono ika men fo wala ñinti ko ila banko dimol le dépense le ke factory to melto marchandise national de Dakar an ni koy marchandise bulay dum nan karo karala ro factory be falale ay la banko dimol la ñaato taate woto ndega men foje wala ñinti nal ko ñin sarto e tam almin luwal na melalon kan na banko la luwal fanan ni la inila conditional fanan ni la interest wol tata ñola isulam ko ba yere luwa dana jana yemol siendal signendal bari banko kilin wol ñal ko yo luwa signé ila sulo ko ila famene la banko ka ani wol man tañola waliyo be kilale and wala waliyo be kirim bi ECOWAS mome be diri santo fo dum so ñinde kukutat an laftele beratele banko tlolti ani ñaalti alkarisajke ka kuwol bonyoto pour ñol lata Allah ikila moyal la alsi boye nyoto bidata baki kabri o mezo ke ani saintima ay sanki dandansi monene ma ñin sifaje to ñala time to time delays ka sodo jang delays ka sodo bara bu ka serious thing aka clear mo bu ka fem moy ko ten ci mo do flora do mo bu ka fem moy bari dal fa na miscalculation ke na dame wala ñinti andum Gambia be momo be bore ngi wulura Gambia jang ikuluta jang ñu sawo na sita ñu sawo ñu wato la nka mel di hamatan season fonyo sembo ka wara baaki fonyo sembo ka wara baaki surtout bakono so ni dal la ñu kulol nata abenda ñu wato fe kulul fula be lore mbatte maje kilindo is brita on den do memba kono bi alsa google no ali ajubi abe lore ndamin Gambia kono bi tono wuli tan woro simento abaw asuti adala wala ba ko yana do fona so rekaf me GM fortune MVGM fortune tono wuli tan lulu ani lulu o ba ko minil be kafu nyoma taw toni wuli keme anen tan lulu o mu Gambia la kari saba simento let ñaajin koy Gambia la kar saba simento lan tel ngani marché wolon ne diamu ne ka siabar marché mo ngara tolit wuli tan saba ni o pompe ni marché ko no dron il faut ngalo ne ko tonya fenn be kire wonu le ka start ka mo roli be lori sira karwal be client ni non and wuli tan saba dron no le pompe so say toni wuli dandawol jamal men to commande wolin ki nadle dron wol le ka ke molla bakoti pour li nga kolya kol sodo wala bina wuli keme wuli tan ani lul wobija ñun disa makaro naay tilim wal ani fulo sodo toli mulim tan lul ni lulo fana bislo kan wonya dafa dala jam wobila la ñun dol kan so del la yu do men di ko mba jama nati la anda si Gambia be si non ngaw timbandile nga jamala nati anu nga men nati njikita ñu kay Gambia be si na price of na makaf kunun ko walin kunun anin bi na price kilingo dal si tan wuli keme saba anin tankonondo boto hani bintel ka wafi wala ni facture barasi kabo ku ya mol ma bi baki nabe wonya mota munati na mol be simendo sana dalsi keme worola dalsi keme lulu kata ko dalsi keme woro katu ngaw be moy ni maso ni wati hani janni wati misila fon wati dalsi keme lulu mo ka simendo wa fa la ja hani janni ni wato bisila musina je do mandim fale Mario ka simenti bodo bondi yanka samba jaro so kilometer kemefula asutiana idal sitan sabajo boto je o bodo kilo yo duri facture do jam kata fara to jam ni funda sila bakar ike chaji muang anilu bodo kilo ni bida costa rodi ka foy pour dal ci tan saba anilu yow la loi ju malika simen do la price so jang tel be ngalon ko so ndemu transportality ni la essence ni la ferel be bonde je dal ci tan boto asa sambe comme ko jang na siata manyana tambila tan anilu comme dawda ite tawbla e tan lulu la ikata fo tan saba anilu boto killing bari da driver kilo ni da pitin jay boto dundu je wala jam fon ye boto dundu je ko ni ko mbita somal iko wole ko tansaba basse tawlulu boto kilo yela ni diamu tati killing bari okay al ngamu da tansabo ni tansabo la kilo saba tanlulo kan be kebe nani muwan so afutati la bidigo kene nani ani muang sayda julo yino sama keme wo ni mol malon te sa fringale bi brini cement kelo dunda ni julo membe ka ko men retailers mel ka dasa wafi wala bo business o kono no ital damangol lam kabri alon ko kelo nyinde nga misle because bu ganna mo jono man say mbuta and man say men fo africa den dunia be katama wala indi kanna industrial support prix de France barkano nyam gambe fana ita nyaato gambe fana wona meso dundi bari no kelo mboy raje ngel fana ku kilim gambulle mialo ko motem bonno law wala multi alwa cemento da koleandi min gambe non astata ko kolema doron ibe wulale be wurla anu ni wulte wurta doron to mando bawo masa kunnabe wulale e ko tije so inkumu idamol na rakambe ite cemento wa sanyang ikasimento sanyang dal si keme saba tonkonon ni ya samela do ikambenda ikawa fi keme lulu fay ka fella kan sain fa ngamo keme woro e jele bayni sai ininka fa jaawolu ya cemento ka fuleba na ko ha du ko regional sulema ala kisi ala fayil invoice odi na katu fofo sandiro san kijar nga invoice le dila nga risito le dila o risito ko na price obe sa fere ngapala ali hakisi hani fari no man law ka ita man sila alal iko ibendel le kele kan bari instead ita ka men kele ja oil man tara wol jihadi ka ita ka mol le jihadi katu wala kati ita ya ibasanna muna na molki nya kari jela ibuka jefo bo njahal ni nyanda kala wala ndim benga kambe to kafu nyo nga wuli jihadola pour ka mek so ko tilimbali ay bojam anda te joroli sol drone so tilimbali ay bojam kata tilika diamu mole atilika ta molia kela moyo atille su bonde hanal ma ke jawal no ko ma ka dum telo man tanake na price mo fali barala ke mbadi wol men be sirin jam men be sori ci bento e ka wax mel keme woro ala na ki wala ko kam ana ni mo dando na be nyina i jama bal bi je ne jube me ya ko dimin na fa warande ni manko diwol fonte manko diwol be ko sonda bari jama be je banko diwol fonte alta kiskisunu on kuke price control del ja on ta keno pour ka fo ha be price control le kala ni ya samol bulu keme saba tanko lon dola iba wa fa keme nan ni dal ci tanela wala dal ci tanel lu man sa lew semboso man sa fana nyanta lola le ay kuke wo mun crisis non be kirin crisis fulale horo la dinom balia kurote dun nola wala biskul wala candi ba ko je be sirinje fanyo fana be kirin ni sango la ñu wato to ila ta jindiro ko la ñaamo kulum ba ko no ita nola yikaake wati la fanyo lo dami nim fanyo wulta ko te ye fanyo ko te yebatu fo police study ko te yana start ko te obe amu ala la kiro non kuno poro fana pray dino woten la do ko dum poro la do ko men ñantan tel ma ngakele nga simen do nata ñama nga investment ke pour factory saba ntel mo kilimo nga na capacity bondi boto wuli kene lo ko no nga sama fa boto wuli kene nani lo ko no inshallah janni min sama banna kadum parafinya ta folo tale ani boto keme lu wolo ni alande lañu boto keme wuli keme to lu wolo boto wuli keme fu la lu wolo ntel lañu factory fu la mebe farafinya ani ñam wala mo bondi ni lañu ko dama do la ka mi ko boto wuli keme fu la la woti abe kala boto wuli keme nani Gambia to monola it's not possible so tel ngana kato dawo kele wa ko be kele bari fo mol fanay wuli yela attentional focus mol kan nyalo ko leme taka nyama leme taka nyama sabale driver masa kunda nyanta wulay regulate ani transport yi banku te keri men man tarifo soto hani Gambia jam fal Gambia transport union ye tarifo soto bari yo tarifo am ko yamdal sa ya fara ifan sun tarifo ini wala do ko wala sa banku buka tawnya ko mo kilit fula nyaw iko simendo mo essential commodity no mo essential wala di mo la sulo do mento wala price o masa kunda ka nyanda ka a regulate le wala ka hakilo to wato baaki ni la jaawal ko ko ale ni ngal ka simendo wa fi jelam ko dal ci keme sama tank non ila rite la ya yela investigation kije yesumendo sanje aje ko yaafo ma wuli kemelul wala kemelo yanda lolé simple la yaafo bahani ñinde kala ima dalilo soto ima excuse soto ima hani fenne solo mende keren no la wala ye control yaafo ko mukk alla ritelo na tambi dañ nambe alamano la lek jaawel to ken wala fula ñam sama ñaw ntel mu client wol ti poroto jaawel tati wala bidon anala navigability with the proper draft wala la ko ñanda bidon no soto la mo soto da men ko dem la do ko ci sama poro la do ko bari la safir jamal kile ñoo poro di non am soto bari beji kirin ko ñim silola ida fana simfa kendol leta yettendal ki bande be mo ñinin kam mel ba poro ñin di non nay ko do fon landi krala le so wala ne beji kirin ñim nal ko jani ba fa january be fal to bando wato do ko be kila kat yellahi do di wala andu nga kay do fana jele ya sa fe men advertisement woni mbadi won ñinam ko moti lafta men koy lalma bi wala ñinti ko lo be kéré jaawel la problème te ali nga ndamangol fana njube ba kon atel dum yalo nga atel dem Gambe ñaati atel la tulol ci atel ka sindima alta kisi ci rola ale toña ita de mol la wala fi sara mol be siri la plateforme ol to yedo mo roki foy kono faat hani jolale so fonte de ila miral ko mol fala ndiate ba fula bari ne mi la ñu ko iso keno le kadu be démocratie le kon ani freedom bari yekuma kam bondi idakuna ala be skit ala be ikiti ni la anni hana do yana nyaawo nyaaya la mo kan ini ala be kiti la wala na mo si mira ko bibe soto ni bibe diare adiamo be diare fi bari wati be soto lay de konti bolal mon si hakilo to ba ngani ni so be fula mande ka wodo yara nga ko bula je din question and answer si tamé bi al si hakilo bulandi surwa ka lu ma doon bamtu rek boy ne mbokay moy ne dañ den ofité yeen journaliste yi pour mëna waxtaan ak yeen parce que lu bari ñu koy wax ci affaire semaine bi te semaine bi fu mu nekk ni ñepa ngay wax ne li la ne la jaawel ñoo waxon fi ni ñoo diglé won fi ni amutoon waaye nan nit ñi laaj seen bopp leen dibi bu ñuy wax jaawel di jaawel ñun musuñu am problème semaine fii dëgg la kenn matut léegi-léeg ñu am some little operational hitches alors ay few days la ñu cover ko waat kenn du déggaat dara benn ci yooyu moo nekk nii tey te li dafa tax tamit léegi investment bu ñu def ci biir semaine bi yaakaar nañ ne Gambia nañ waxaat beneen commodity waaye bu ñu waxaat semaine su fekkee ne jumtukaay yi ñu war a am yëpp government bi tamit jox nañu ko jumtukaay mooy lan ñu hóotal port bi parce que port bi du suñu alal client rek lañ fa Gambia before 1965 mooy channel bi buñ ko créé Gambia bi fekka population am is below 1 million xam ne noonu gaal yoo xam ne 9.5 meter draft lañ soxla yu ndaw lañ ba pare tamit su gaal bu ndaw ñëwaan sax kenn du wax affaire draft because gaal yu ndaw daan ñëw indi supplies nit ñi bëri wuñu woon te ñu ngi 2025 population bi dafa more than triple and quadruple da nga xam turi beneen mu ngi tudd Brita Oldendorf mu ngi indi almost juróom-benn junne tonne ci semaine mu ngi taxaw ci géej bi soo leen ko google ni nga gis fu mu taxaw ñu indi beneen ñaareel mu ngi tudd la naan GM Fortune MBB GM Fortune mu ngi indi juróom fukk ak juróomi junne tonne ci semaine boo boolee yëpp mu dem téeméer ak fukk ak juróomi junne ci tonne loolu ñetti weeri consommation ni Gambia la kon ñun léegi lan lañ def wrong indi nañ adequate over almost $10 million is at stake at sea mu fa taxaw soo boolee all the costs together 10 million ci dollar loo xam ne ñetti weer la laa jël Gambia bi pour ñu seyal ko ci marché bi teg si tamit weer bu nekk nii mooy décembre su amee ñaar fukki fan ak ñaar beneen mu ngi war a agsi ak juróom fukk ak juróomi junne te boobu tamit am na beneen bu ko war a toppa mu ngi ñëw ani janvier ak juróom fukk ak juróomi junne soo kon ñun luñ promise ñu ngi koy def ñu ngi indi lu doy waaye indi nga lu doy waaye mënut a dugal ñàkk a dugal boobu mooy ne yoon gaal yi dee jaare yu ñu ooy access channel bi xóotul dina nañ ay leetar yu dul jeex ay at di wax port bi ne dimbale leen ñu xóotal géej boobu noonu foofu noonu ngeen drej ko mënuñ koo def ba sant yàlla ci taa yi gis naa ne jéene nañ kayit ay bataaxal di invite Gambians ak non Gambians pour ñu ñëw ñu jël contract bi ñu jox leen ko pour ñu xóotal ko te am nañ yaakaar ne xëj na balaa ñuy wax end of January xëj na nañ ko drej su boobaa coow bi kenn du ko dégga parce que investment bi on the ground is enough luñ invest ci biir dëkk bi ci semaine doy na affaire semaine ci lañ koy suul fii kenn du ko déggati mu neex nit ñi mën a xari nit ñi ci lañ koy suul kenn du ko déggati su fekkee ne drej nañ channel boobu noonu ñun la ñuy indi ci gaal mu ñee ñëw mu war a ak ñetti factories yi nii yu ñu am nga xam ne léegi suñ capacité dem na ci téeméeri junne saaku ci bés bi ba ñeneen téeméeri junne saaku ci bés bi loolu Gambie mënu koo lekk mënu koo consume ci lañ koy suul waaye nag wax bi ñaar la nit yaa ngi laajte ne li tax ciment seer parce que ñu bëri understanduñ dynamics yi ñoom dañ foog ne Jah Oil moo seeral ciment ñun seeraluñ ciment ñun suñ ciment lañ ko daan jaayee ñetti téeméer ak juróom-ñeent fukk benn saak ba léegi ñu ngi koy jaayee léegi li tax nit ñi di ko jëndee juróomi téeméer foofu la nit ñi war a investiguer ñu xam ko te ñii ñooy ooyee seen bopp ay doomi Gambia even though ñu ni neen xamante nañ fi ne yes am na ay doomi Gambia ñu ne koy def unfortunately te lu tiislu su fekkee ne ku bëgg sa réew nga comme ñun nañ bëggee suñu réew di sacrifice pour nga doomu réew bu nekk da nga war a sacrifice sa réew yow tamit ëllëg nga mun a taxaw nga puugaroo ne defal naa li suma réew waaye déedéet yow nga nekk di jooyloo sa réew ci kaw ne am nga doole pour def ko lan mooy sa doole mooy ne yaa ngi ubbi sa bitik yaa ngi jënd fii ciment di ko retail waaye di ko jaayee juróomi téeméer wala juróomi téeméer lu si tegu du maa ngi dégg sax ñeneen ñi ñu ngi jaayee juróom benn téeméer foo ko wéerloo ko ci dara su dul fen lu ko waral ma wax leen ñaari yëf suñ driver yi ma dooree ko ci ñëw bu yàggul rek maa ngi amoon yenn driver yi ma doon waxtaanal fii wax leen ay kàddu mais li ngeen a nekkee fii di def du yoon da ngeen ko war a bàyyi waaye loolu ñun wax lañ si mun ak yedda waaye mënuñu naa contrôler bàyyi force ñu ngeen ko def loolu liggéey government la ñoom ñu war a put a measure and a control mechanism kan mooy mun a laka la xel mu nee jëlee ne yow nga jéenee fii saaku ciment war koo yóbbu jaara sooma nga xam ne ñaari téeméeri kilomètre la lu ko jege ngay caajee ñetti fukki dalasi pour benn saaku nga jéenee benn façon saaku boobu fii yóbbu ko faaraatu fii nga xam ne soo jéenee ci tali bi rek yaa ngi faaraat nga ne $25 ñaar fukk ak juróom loolu xel mën na koo jël déedéet su fekkee ne da nga ko yóbbu Costa Road wala ay jaanam ak yooyu léegi-léeg ñu caaj la ba ñett fukk ak juróom $35 benn saaku nga xam ne doo ko fay sax pour dem jaara sooma irin base nga xam ne fële la juróom fukki dalasi la benn saaku li tax ñoom ñuy def loolu yéen journalistes yi yéen a war a jóg on a crusade ngeen investigate li ngeen put pressure points wherever you have to put that pressure point ngeen make sure ne boneel boobu noonu mucc na fi parce que ñu ñuy gaañ askan bi la te yéen askan bi ngeen fi nekkal parce que loolu ngeen ne waaye seen bopp ne askan bi ngeen fi nekkal te yaakaar naa ne askan bi ngeen fi nekkal jóg leen si ngeen taxaw si loolu benn la ñu dem léegi yow nga jël saako bi fii yow retailer bi retailer si yu si ëpp doole dañ am seen trogi bopp nga jéenee fii saako bi 390 mooy ñetti téeméer ak juróom-ñeenti fukk fereem pour mu àgga sa bitik ci biir kombo bi fii fukki dalasi la wala fukk ak juróomi dalasi dafa dépend ci ban boor ci kombo bi waru ko ubba yow nga jéenee fi semaine bi ak sa troc nga xam ne isage la faa def troc bi tam liggéey mu am si dara yow tam nga am si dara borom troc bi $10 mooy fii bi nga jéene ko fi nga yóbbu ko sa bitik mu diggee la ñaata du ñeneenti téeméer léegi li tax nga siy teg ñaari téeméeri dalasi def ko $600 saaku maalo bu nit ñi di dundee nga xam ne moo amee bakkan live la doo si teg even $50 laa jël jaaykati maalo yi waaye nag soo gisee ñu def ko dafa am lu tax ñun nañ foog ne jaawel la ñoo xeex jaawel asi compagnie suñ buggee semaine ñun duñ dee jënd retail fii lañ ko jëndee ci factory 390 soo gaañut ko waaye askan bi nga xam ne ñoo ko bokk ñu war leen a protect ñun yëpp ñu saab leen yow ñooñu nga nekk di mbugal naka nga leen a mbugale nga jëndee fii 390 nga yóbbu sa bitik ngeen mankoo yeni neen ne nañ ko jaay juróomi téeméer lu si tegu wala bi juróom benni téeméer ñu seeral semaine bi so that ni ñuy jóg ñu yuuxu government jóg moo tax soo xoolee toujours rek ci seen campagne yi bàyyi leen xel yéen a ma dégg naa nekk in social media price semaine lañ dégg naa wax price semaine kenn mënu koo jënda government bi dafa war a bàyyi lii lañu war a ubbi bunta bi suñ ubbee bunta boobu tey sax ma wax leen maa leen gën a xam Sénégalese market bi man price bi foofu tey lu faa train xam naa ko ci seen cheap quality bi laa de 32.5 bi soo ko indee tey nga teg si $30 VAT tax bi nga xam ne moom lañ war a fay ci booda bi boo koy génnee foofu noonu nga indi ko fii mun laa dikkee $420 dégg nga loo si sa bénéfice de xam naa su boobaa moom du si jëmee teg $100 wala $200 su boobaa xam nga ñaata lay demee tegu kenn du ko mën a jël te boobu 32.5 la 42 bi moom duñ ko mën a laal ñun buñ dee jaay boobu mënuñ ko fee indi soo leen ko waxee sa dañoo xanaa da ngaa xaru kan ñaata laa ko jaayee parce que ñu mën naa dikkee dafaa ñëw close to 500 nga teg si sa lifin sa profit xanaa loolu kon ñu dem boori 700 ci boobu so that's not the solution xëy na lu ñu yaakaar rek mooy ne suñ ubbee waat bunta bi nañ defaat lu ñu daan def nga indi fukki trop nga fee ñeneenti trop beneen bi mu dem sa poos nga ñëw nga wanteer ko. audit report bi ñu ñëpp gis nañ ko fi about $1 billion in cement importation, cross border importation. ñoom loolu lañ registré ne loolu lañ xayma ne moo dugga soo ko xoolee ci tax ñaata lañ fekk ci books yi waxuñ 25 millions. ndax lii moo war yow because of sa personal interest yow kenn nga bëgg a gaañ askan bi yëpp pour jooyloo leen ba pare nga taxaw fële comfortable lii yëpp jaawayal la yàlla muy gis te di àtte bàyyi nañ ko àtte boobu te na àtte mu set wécc gis nga mboolem ko am sa business nga am lu la yàlla dénkaane nga ne danga koy téye di ko jooyloo nit ñi wala nga siy def leneen pour mbugal wala am na loo see ut pour mbugal yàlla du booba buur de day able ñun yëpp jox naa leen mun naa leen a promise fii te yàlla ñu yàlla may gudda fan ñu seet ko yëpp dafay seey fii nañ si teg suñ bët xanaa ñu change seen yoon waaye yëpp ay seey so li ngeen war a def as journalist jóg leen ngeen dem investigate ñun yëpp ñu jóg ñu fight this crusade this bad behavior activité bu bon bi nga xam ne suñ yaay yi suñ papa yi suñ brothers yi suñ sisters yi la ñoo jooyalu njaaweel dañoo naxarloo suñ xol rek waaye jooyaluñu waaye ñuy jooy dëgg mooy askan bi na ñëpp jóg ñu taxawu askan bi ñi ci jikko bu bon bu ñu nekk nii ñu jénee ko fi su soobee yàlla comme lu ñu leen promis woon mooy ne jox naa leen firnde yi ne indi nañ fi enough cement nañ ko def lii is a minor hiccup la rek nañ ko solve te after this hiccup ñu ngeen ñëw with a new up strategy am na gaal bu es bu war a ñëw xëy na in December buñ jëndawaat teg ko ci suñ gaal bi mu nekk ñaari gaal affaire yi laaj nañ bu yàgga bi duñ ko amati fii parce que dafay gaaw that's number one. Number two also production foo wiide ci biir Gambia bi di nga gis ciment mu nga ko buggee gisee te suñ price xanaa world market price bi change waaye ñu muñ ko change benn presso du tax ñu change ko fuñ taxaw lañ taxaw ñoom su leen neexee seen digganteeg yàlla dañ ko jaay 600 yàlla na leen àtteeg askan bi ku jooyloo baadoo la rek di nga jooy dina la jël time tuuti waaye di nga jooy ji lii laa am pour wax leen jërëjëf. te ku fi jël receipt mu woon la beneen receipt bu nekkul loolu te muy receipt yi jaaweel rek wallaahi indi ko dina la fayal sa paas feesal la sa tànk teg parce que dinaa bëgg a xam receipt boobu fu mu jógee loolu laa am pour wax foofu la. so loolu moom is clear ñun ceeñu when you talk about jaaweel stock today in the Gambia, this 115,000 metric tons is in the Gambia. I'll come. It's in the Gambia. Now, the way the challenge is, how can we get that 115,000 metric tons in the factory so that these things will flow? The complications surrounding that, that's what I have highlighted. I told you, number one, if I told the access channel was deep enough, we would have not been discussing this. This press conference might not even happen. But we are having this discussion because there is a restriction. Number one. Number two, the daughter vessel, I told you, they usually shuttle back and forth to lighten that mother vessel. Just sail off these early hours of the morning. It came with 4,000 metric tons, which we have already pushed out in the market. Now he's going to bring another one. So, in reality, if you see these non-products happening, it's because whenever it brings a load, we push that out. It goes again, takes a day or two, brings another one, we push that out until when it is ready to come in. So to answer your question, as of yesterday, maybe when we were here, you would have seen, I wouldn't answer that question. You would have just stood there and look over there and you will see things flowing out. But unfortunately, it finished, that load it brought was exhausted yesterday night, and it is gone already there. It is already there at sea, at the high seas, loading again to bring a second one. So this is the situation. You know, I have to be, I've tried to be very factual and plain, because the reason why I call this thing is to articulate and to say everything beyond all reasonable doubts and to also, like questions you have posted to me, to expect similar questions, so that when you leave this room, if anybody asks you about the cement situation, you have tons of things to say. So this is the situation. Once that access channel, if the access channel was not the issue, we'll not be having the issue. The reason why we are believing on the access channel is because the access channel is shallow. And also let people remember this. I forgot to say this. The reason why we are bringing these kind of vessels is to the best interest of the Gambia, price-wise. When you want to play with the economy of scales, you have to maximize the volume so that you can maintain a price that is affordable. This is why we are able to maintain the 390, even though people out there are selling it at 5 plus. If we have to go back, which we are thinking seriously, to revert back to those smaller vessels, we could do that. Availability will be there. The next cry will be price, because the landing cost will be expensive. And we don't want to hurt anybody. We want to make life easy for everybody. We want to make cement affordable for every Gambian, because we have seen that Gambians are fully focused now on building. Because if everybody wants to build a house, either for yourself or your family, it doesn't make sense, and it is even wrong to make that cement very expensive for them. You are cutting short their ambition. You are discouraging people not to do the same thing. So this is why we are going for this big vessel. It's to the best interest of the country. And inshallah, after this hiccup, we have come with a solution. And the solution is, we have invested in a second vessel. Even if you have to do lightering, it will be limited to only one lightering, not multiple lightering. In the mother vessel can sail with those 2 vessels. That's number 1. Number 2, also we have spoke to our suppliers also to tell them that temporarily, before this channel issue is sorted out, we will reduce the volumes. It will come at a cost at us. We will swallow the cost for the interest of the people. We will swallow that cost. If I tell the cost today, what it will cost us to add it on top of that bag, people will say, oh, no, that's not acceptable. But I will tell you, it is coming at a cost, at our own cost. But we will try to swallow that cost, because we believe it is temporal. Because the port is working diligently, and they are moving very fast to make sure that they drag that channel.
So,
yeah.
Now, this situation, what is your projection?
With this situation, our projection is.
Also, you have highlighted 2 challenges. You have foreign players who are doing the same, who are playing the same class. What are they doing? Do you have any idea of their doing the property? Because of course you have financial of your own side, but at the same time it is not only their way this bank,
That's a good question. I wish I could speak for them. I wish. This is why throughout my speech I never mentioned them, even though I know they exist. But that is for something I know government has called them.